Hello, everybody. This analysis comes from the video The Defeat of Education in Peru, a topic discussed by the YouTuber Gianfranco Ereña on his channel El Buen Librero. Francesca Uccelli explains the ideas that have guided the evolution or involution of educational institutions in Peru. These are the points they discussed. First point, social exclusion and the myth of equal opportunity. Civilism, Indigenism, Militarism, and Neoliberalism. Neoliberalism today says that each person is responsible for their own decisions. But what happens when someone comes from a very remote part of the country and travels many kilometers only to find that the state is not present at all? In that case, isn't the state also responsible? Another shocking issue is that there is not a single Quechua speaking institute in the capital. The language is not taught, and this causes people from the province to feel excluded and disconnected from life in the city. The absent state. If you grow up in a place with no schools, no hospitals, no roads, and no help from the government, how can you be expected to compete with someone who had all these things? The self-responsibility idea ignores this huge unfairness. The state should be responsible for giving all citizens a basic foundation. The language barrier. Ex- Excuse. The language barrier. If the capital city doesn't respect or teach the language of people from the province, like Quechua, it creates a wall. It peoples those people, or it tells those people, to success here, you must abandon who you are. This causes exclusion and loneliness. It's not just about learning Spanish, it's about a city making no space for their identity. The reflection says that true fairness isn't just about letting people make free choices. It's about making sure everyone has a real chance to make those choices. By having a state that supports them and a society that includes them. Neoliberalism's focus on individual responsibility often forgets this part. The second point, or the second idea of this interview, is it's an inescapable system, not just bad luck. Not just bad luck. An Andean or indigenous person comes to the capital with very little. Even so, they manage to form a community, build a home, and send their children to school. If the state doesn't help them, at least it should not block their efforts. Another problem is the belief that public education is only for poor people. This is how many people in the capital see it. Neoliberal ideas say the state should be smaller, but instead, the state keeps growing and because and become more inefficient. So, is it really logical to expect the state to solve these problems? The state as an obstacle, not just an absence. Before they say the state was absent. Now they say it's sometimes actively in the way. It's one thing to not get help to build a house. It's another thing to have bureaucratic rules that block you from building it yourself. The demand is clear. If you want help us, at least don't stop us from helping ourselves. This highlights the resilience of marginalized communities. The stigma of public service. This is a deep social illness. When public school or health clinics are seen as for the poor, two terrible things happen. The middle and upper classes abandon them, which means they stop caring about their quality. It creates a shameful, second-class system for everyone who depends on it. This destroyed the very idea of a public good that united society. A tough question about the state's role. Here, they are honestly wrestling with a big contradiction. Neoliberalism says the state is inefficient. Make it smaller. Reality shows the state is often inefficient and keeps growing. The logical question then is, if it's bloated and inefficient, how can we realistically expect this same state to be the one that solves the deep problem of inclusion and fairness? The third idea, profit over learning. Profit over learning. In Peru, a law has been created called the liberalization of education, which allows anyone to start an educational institute. Because of this, has become just a business, and it is called the good business of bad education. The law mistook freedom for quality. Quality. The law taught if we let anyone open a school, competition will improve everything. But in reality, without strong rules and oversight, it just opened the door to business whose main goal is profit, not learning. It created a market for certificate, not education. For many of these institutes, the student is not a learner to empower, but a customer buying a diploma. The product being sold is often a piece of paper of low value, trapping people in debt without giving them real skills. This is a perfect example of how applying a pure neoliberal principle, deregulation, free entry into the market, to a social good, education, can backfire disastrously. It confuses access to a business with access to quality. The result is a system that legally exploits the desire of poor and working class people to get ahead, offering them a worthless product and calling it a choice. It's the opposite of empowerment. The fourth idea is focuses on how the system structure intentionally burns out most educators. Now, the situation for public school teachers is just as bad. They have to look for extra income in other educational institutes, but with really low salaries. The government says that their situation has improved because of a pay rise, but they don't say that this is only for teachers in the magisterial career, the civil service track, and that not everyone can reach that level. The rest have to look for extra jobs, exposing themselves to terrible traffic and bringing work home, leading to a very precarious existence. It's about a false victory. The government announced will rise the teacher pay, but they hide that it only applies to some, those with civil service status. It's like promising free ice cream for everyone, but only handing it to people wearing a special budget. It makes the government look good while hiding bigger problem. It creates teachers of two classes. There are now career, teacher with better, stable pay and benefits. Precarious, teacher without status, stuck in low wage insecurity. This divide is unfair and hurts moral. It tells most teachers, your work is not valued enough to earn a decent living. The real cost is exhaustion and risk. To survive, a teacher without a good salary must work extra jobs at other schools, often the low quality private institutes mentioned before, endure long, dangerous commutes in terrible traffic, take work home, sacrificing personal time. This isn't just a side job, it's a grueling patchwork of work just to get by. It leads to burnout, which directly hurts the quality of education they can give to students. Five idea: survival first, learning second. Family cares about the educational future of their children, but the situation is such that they must worry about survival first. In Maslow's great pyramid, where human needs are organized into five sections, where food is at very bottom and education is at the top. It is an uphill battle that many must overcome. This observation hits on a core, painful truth about poverty and education. It explains why school performance is about more than just studying. You cannot expect a child whose family is struggling to find food, pay rent, or stay safe to focus on math homework. Their brain and energy are consumed by survival stress. The pyramid Maslow hierarchy shows that higher needs, like learning, can only be built once the base needs, food safety, are stable. It shows that parents' lack of involvement is often a lack of capacity, not care. A parent working three jobs to pay for food and shelter has no time or energy left to help with the school projects. It's not a choice between caring about education or not. It's the cruel reality that survival demands take over. It reframes the battle for education as a battle for basic dignity. The phrase uphill battle is perfect. For a poor family, getting a child a good education isn't a simple step. It's a step glimpse. They must start halfway above mountain, while others start at the base camp with all their basic needs already met. It is fundamentally unfair. This isn't just about bad schools. It's about how poverty hijacks a family and families' focus and energy, forcing them to prioritize immediate survival over long-term investment, like education. The systems ask children to build the top of their pyramid while the foundation is still crumbling. Sixth idea, the hollow credential. A certificate, diploma, or degree is now just a product. People look for ways to acquire more of them instead of improving their skills. For example, there was an anecdote about a student who would be connected to two institutes at the same time in virtual classes, only caring that his attendance was marked. Respect has been lost. Nowadays, people say many things that before they will have to think twice about even mentioning. This is because the level of judgment used to guide your action has decreased. This is a sharp and worrisome observation that touches on a major cultural and educational shift. My opinion in basic language. You are pointing, pointing out two connected symptoms of a deeper problem: the decay of genuine value, the diploma as a product problem. This is the core of the issue. Education has become a transaction, not a transformation. People are buying a credential, a piece of paper, instead of investing in competence, skills, and knowledge. The goal shifts from "I need to learn this" to "I need to show I did this." This is why the student in the anecdota only cares about attendance mark. The system has taught him that the proof of participation is more valuable than the participation itself. The loss of judgment and respect problem. This is the broader social consequence. When you replace real skill with empty certificates, you also start to replace substance with superficiality in how people act and speak. If the system rewards shortcuts, like faking attendance for a certificate, it teaches that the appearance of effort is enough. This erodes the ethic of doing things properly. This attitude leaks into daily life. If you don't have to earn knowledge through real work, you might start to think you don't have to earn respect through thoughtful words. The internal filter or level of judgment weaken. People speak without the foundation of understanding or the discipline of careful talk. My overall opinion, you are correctly diagnosing a dangerous trend. It creates a society that is credential rich but skill poor and poor, an opinion rich but wisdom poor. It's a system that encourages box ticking over brain building, and that cheapens both education and public discourse. The student in two virtual classes at once is the perfect symbol, physically present now here, learning nothing, but checking all the boxes. When this becomes normal, we all lose. And the last idea, the seventh idea, education as social control. The influence of militarism practice in schools since the 20th centuries has created two categories for how teachers see their students. Those who obey or call it discipline, while at the other extreme, those who disobey are called subversive or even terrorists. Education has been managed as a system of control using authority. School marches and more information are examples of these traditions. Perhaps the origin has been forgotten, but ultimately schools use them to train you to use your knowledge to abuse or subdue others. I identify how a military mindset has secretly shaped the very purpose of school, twisting it from a place of learning into a system of social control. This has created a harmful, black and white way of thinking that affects both student and society long after they leave the classroom. The core mechanisms control through labels. The most powerful point is about the two categories. By labeling students only a disciplined, good, or subversive bad, the system does three damaging things. It crushes critical thinking. A curious or questioning student isn't seen as thinking dumbly, but as disobedient authority. This, this teaches children that the goal is to follow orders without question, not to understand the world. It justifies repression. Labeling a disobedient student as subversive or terrorist isn't just name calling, it's a political weapon. It frames any challenge to authority as a threat to the nation itself, making it seem right to crush that student spirit. It creates a culture of fear. This binary obedient versus enemy forces everyone into a line out of fear of being placed in the bad category and punished, socially and officially. The hidden curriculum, training for domination. The daily routines, march, formation, strict discipline are not neutral tradition. They are a hidden curriculum. The forgotten origin is military, and the lesson is life is about hierarchy, order, and power. You learn to stand in line, follow commands, and respect ranks. The unspoken lesson is knowledge is not for enlightenment or community building, it's a tool for power. As you state, it trains you to eventually use what you know to abuse or subdue others, to maintain your place in that hierarchy, whether in an office, a government, or a family. The militarized mind. This describing the creation of a militarized mind in civilians. The school, under this influence, does not produce free, creative citizens. It produces subjects and enforcers for a rigid social order. It replaced the question, is this true or just? With, did I follow the rule? And how do I make others follow it? This system prepares people not for democratic participation, but for a society where authority is never questioned and where power is maintained through obedience and the threat of labeling dissenters as enemies of the state. And this is the resume of the video. I hope you enjoyed it and see you later.